Good morning, everybody. I want to, good afternoon, everybody. They kind of blend. I want to, first of all, start off with a moment of silence for Mrs. Veronica Bizankowskis. She was a regular attendance of this wonderful annual event we do here, and her daughters are here today. But if we could just take a moment of silence to remember her and give our prayers and blessings to her family. May she rest in peace. Thank you very much. Before we start the process, I'm going to ask Dr. Troy Clarkson, our city CFO. He's a man of many talents. I want to recognize Jack Lally, our esteemed city councilor from the ward. I want to thank Tim Cruz, our city clerk. And Dr. Clarkson is our city CFO, but he has a wonderful voice. He has sung the national anthem at Fenway Park, and he is going to start with the American national anthem at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. I promise to, with help from our friends here today, I will learn the Lithuanian national anthem for next year. For next year. Okay. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you very much, Dr. Clarkson. We will start off by asking, right now we're going to have Marita please come up and sing the national anthem for Lithuania.
Lietuva tėvynė mūsų, tu didvyrių žemė, iš praeities tavo sūnus, tęs stiprybę semia, tegul tavo vaikai eina vien takais dorybės, tegul dirba tavo naudai ir žmonių gerybė, tegul saulė Lietuvos tamsumus prašalina, ir šviesa, ir tiesa mūsų žingsnius telydė, tegul meilė Lietuvos dega mūsų širdyse, vardan tos Lietuvos vienybę težydi.
Thank you very, very much. As we begin today's flag-raising ceremony, we will always do this as long as I'm mayor of the city of Brockton. The impact of Lithuania to here in the City of Champions is unbelievable. The residents, the businesses, the Sisters of Jesus Crucified and Sorrowful Mother over on Thatcher Street, the educators, the bakeries. But as an Irish American, I always like to try to educate folks about different impacts that make up the city of Brockton. We have 106,000 residents here in our fine city, and people from around the world have traveled to make Brockton their home, but we never, ever, ever want them to forget where their home country was from. So today we honor proudly the Lithuanian people that have really made an indelible mark on our city, and we will continue to showcase for the next generation, for the boys and girls of Brockton, so that they can listen and learn and carry on the tradition that we have set here and previous generations have done as well. So I do want to, at this time, before I have some talking points, I'd like to ask Jack Lally, the City Council, who represents the Lithuanian Village section of the City of Brockton up in Ward 6. Councilor, please come to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is my 10th year as a councilor, and for those 10 years, I've had the honor of representing, as part of Ward 6, the Lithuanian Village. And, you know, I can't think of a better way to say it than on the city seal, it says three things: education, industry, and progress. And that is a pretty good representation of what the Lithuanian community brought to the city of Brockton in the village. And they set right to work, not only creating a vibrant community, but getting right to work in the factories that Brockton was so famous for. The city has a long and storied history, and there's quite a lot of instances in that where we can spot the Lithuanian influence on. But I appreciate both my time and the opportunity to represent the village, and the fact that this is the most constant and strongest flag-raising ceremony that I've had the opportunity to be a part of every year. So I appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate what the community's brought to us, and I continue to look forward to serving the village. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We truly have a dedicated public servant in Jack Lally, and he serves not just the ward, but the city very well. So let's give him a round of applause as well. Thank you, Councilor. So I'd like to just give some information, some historical information that is always so important on this day. Lithuania proclaimed its independence in the year 1918, and I am honored to be here today as we celebrate 107 years of Lithuanian independence. The Lithuanian people are really among the most resilient people in the world's history. Even after proclaiming its independence in 1918, Lithuanians had to deal with the occupation by Nazi Germany from 1941 through 1944, where Lithuanians suffered greatly, but also performed great acts of heroism. Thousands of Lithuanian families truly risked their lives to protect Lithuanian Jews from the Holocaust. Still, unfortunately and tragically, the Nazis killed well over 100,000 Lithuanian Jews, along with Lithuanian activists, freedom fighters, soldiers, and civilians. After the Nazis left, the Russian Soviet Union moved back in to take control of the country from 1945 through 1991. In 1991, after 2 years of contention with Soviet authorities, Lithuania declared its independence for the second time. The latter part of the 19th century here in the city of Brockton witnessed a great influx of Lithuanians coming here for a better life. They were here to better the community, better themselves, more importantly, better their families. They understood that there was a ban at that time on teaching the Lithuanian language. There was a flight from conscription into the Russian army, and the famine in the 1860s that drew people away from the motherland. However, Brockton historically played a large role in the diaspora of Lithuania. The Catholic parish, back then known as St. Rocco's, established in the year 1898 on Webster Street, was established by immigrants from Lithuania. St. Casimir Church on Sawtell Ave was built in 1952. on top of St. Rocco's. Lithuanian Village developed around that church. The church was the center for the community. Over the decades, social clubs in the village and cultural celebrations held during the year in the parish hall and also at Removal Park really helped bond the community. Children of Lithuanian immigrants attended the parish school or the Old Franklin Elementary School up in the village. The businesses included, as I said, bakeries and shops and restaurants and pharmacies, and they were thriving back in the day. Community events, again, held at Removal Park included sports and dancing. Hundreds of Lithuanians, not just from Plymouth County, but from all around Massachusetts and beyond, would spend the day at Removal Park for picnics, celebrating holidays and feast days. And again, the Great Sisters of Jesus Crucified always had a wonderful annual event on Thatcher Street at the convent. As mayor of the city of Brockton, I truly want to thank each and every one of you for keeping the spirit and the tradition and the history alive here in our community. We are truly a much better community when we can share ideas, listen and learn from others that have come before us. So at this time, I would also who's coming up to speak? Oh, come on up. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
I have the distinct pleasure of being not only the president of Council 1 in Brockton, but also the national president of the Knights of Lithuania organization. So, yeah, so that's a very exciting thing. All right, thank you, Mayor Sullivan, and for your notable remarks about the Lithuanian, our Brockton Lithuanian community. I think all the council members and all of those, our wonderful guests who are here today, your presence is greatly appreciated. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the history of the Knights of Lithuania Council 1 in Brockton and highlights of what the national organization is doing now. In 1913, Mykolas Norkūnas established Lietuvos Vyčiai, a youth group to help the children of Lithuanian immigrants to keep alive, preserve, and emphasize the importance of Roman Catholic beliefs, and to develop a deep appreciation of the Lithuanian language, customs, and culture. This was especially important because of the Tsarist occupation of Lithuania since 1795 and was consistently working to crush all aspects of Lithuanian culture and its people. Mr. Norkūnas hoped to try to preserve some of this unique language and culture here in the United States. Mr. Norkūnas began his idea in Lawrence, Massachusetts, but violent textile strikes where many immigrants worked and the lack of a Lithuanian church parish made creating a council impossible. Young seminarian Father Vermauskas encouraged Norkūnas to come to St. Rocco, later St. Casimir Church, and established the first Knights of Lithuania Council here. The shoe factories in Montello provided hundreds of jobs for the young Lithuanian immigrant families. The KFL group, whose motto is Dievui ir tėvynė, for God and country, was open to young people between the ages of 16 and 25. Older members were considered seniors, which makes me ancient. And I don't know what it makes poor Ann Motakaitis at 97, but an incredible long-lived member of the organization. The first convention was held in Brockton in 1914 with 24 delegates and 12 councils. So within a year, it went from 1 council to 12 councils. Pretty impressive, I would say. The Brockton hosted at least 8 additional national conventions and assisted many other councils in hosting these annual events. Records for the 112 years Council 1 has existed are sparse at best and many have been lost over the years with ever-changing secretaries, presidents, and no consistent way to keep track of the yearly activities. We can report, however, that over the century we have sponsored and supported countless St. Casimir Feast Day, Lithuanian Independence Day celebrations. We attended numerous demonstrations in Boston and Washington, D.C., supporting Lithuanian causes, wrote hundreds of petition letters, gathered thousands of signatures, which were presented to members of Congress. Council 1 continues to celebrate February 16th, yay, Independence Day today in Brockton City Hall, with wonderful remarks from our mayor. Now that Lithuania is thriving and membership of the Knights of Lithuania organization is changing, our priorities needed to shift. When I was elected national president, I renewed our focus on our Lithuanian Catholic identity, as opposed to helping with all of the political activities. Our goal is to leave a legacy of this in several ways by using our Knights of Lithuania charities. We have 4 charities. Currently, we are working in conjunction with EWTN to bring a permanent hour-long program of the history of the apparition of Our Lady of Shilova, Shilovos Maria, to the world. Michael O'Neill, host of the program called The Miracle Hunter, is spearheading this filming with tremendous amounts of information provided to him through the Knights of Lithuania organization and our contacts with all the bishops in Lithuania for archival photos and access to the shrine in Shilova. And this first papal recognition of the Blessed Mother in Europe took place in 1608, and it was confirmed authentic by Pope Pius VI in August of 1775. So that's the first apparition in Europe. And if you don't mind, I'd like to tell you a little bit about that situation, that wonderful occasion. And it's just blown up because I'm blind. All right, so Lithuania becomes the youngest daughter of the church. So in 1251, Lithuania was the last European nation to accept Christianity, becoming the youngest daughter of the church. There was a time when Lithuania came very close to leaving the Catholic faith. The tide of Reformation heresy, which was sweeping Europe and threatening to engulf this little country. 250 years before Lourdes and Fatima, the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared in the little village of Šilova, Lithuania. The story of Our Lady of Šilova actually begins in 1457 when Peter Giedogas, a diplomat for Grand Duke Vytautas the Great, built the first church in the area and gave the land to the Catholic Church. On one of his many travels, he went to Rome and there obtained a magnificent painting of the Blessed Virgin Mary holding the child Jesus. He brought the painting back to Lithuania and put it in the sanctuary of the new church in Šilova, and it still is there today. When the Protestant Reformation swept over Europe, even this little village could not escape its impact. The Catholics of Šilova were helpless to resist the repression. Property owned by the church was then confiscated and turned over to the Calvinists. When Father Hobulka, the parish priest of Šilova, heard what was happening, he built an iron box. He carefully wrapped the treasured painting of the Blessed Virgin Mary and Child, liturgical vestments, and documents which proved that Vytautas the Great had given the land to the Catholic Church and placed them all in the box. He then sealed the box and buried it deep underground near a rock. 80 years passed, and the Catholic flock eventually died out. Only a few of the very oldest villagers dimly remembered that there had been a Catholic church in the village. One summer day in 1608, a number of children were tending their sheep in a field on the outskirts of the village of Šilova. They were playing near a large rock close to a wooded section of the field, shouting merrily to one another and having a lot of fun. Suddenly, one after the other stood transfixed, staring in the direction of the rock. In the silence, there could be heard the sound of loud sobbing. Then the children beheld a beautiful young woman standing on the rock, holding a baby in her arms and weeping bitterly. Her overwhelming grief was extremely evident. So startled with the children, they could not speak, but they merely stood and stared. Finally, one of the boys ran to the village to tell the Calvinist pastor. He was told to stop making up such lies and go back to the fields. Then the children returned home that evening and told their parents and neighbors about the weeping woman. The next morning, most of the townspeople gathered around the rock. The Calvinist pastor, aware that the crowd had gathered, became alarmed at the gullibility of his people, believing this Roman superstition. He warned them that this was the work of Satan. And as the Calvinist priest paused to catch his breath, heading towards the rock, a heart-rending sound of sobbing was heard. All eyes turned to the rock, and there, standing in their midst, was the weeping lady with the baby in her arms, just as the children had described. The pastor regained his composure and asked, "Why are you weeping?" In a voice filled with sorrow and emotion, she replied, "There was a time when my beloved son was worshipped by my people on this very spot. But now they have given the sacred soil over to the plowman and the tiller and animals for grazing. The ironclad chest was dug out of the ground, and when it was opened, it was perfectly preserved, was the large painting of the Madonna and Child, several gold chalices, vestments, church deeds, and other documents. The painting was enshrined permanently in the Basilica of the miraculous image of Shiloh. And so that's the most important thing. And the one interesting thing is that 10 years after that, the Catholicism had regained its footing in Lithuania, and 11,000 people received Holy Communion at a Mass offered there 10 years later. So that's a little bit story of Our Lady of Shiloh. So now, our Knights of Lithuania Charities are sponsoring the cost of that filming of the Our Lady of Shiloh with EWTN. This charitable fund was established several decades ago to promote the message of the Blessed Mother, and this project with EWTN should be completed this year. In point of fact, EWTN has also featured Lithuania in 2 programs about Sister Faustina and the Divine Mercy painting and its history, and also filmed the biography of the Venerable Mother Maria Kaupas, foundress of the Sisters of St. Casimir in Chicago. And I was thinking perhaps we can have them film the biography of Blessed George Matulaitis, who was waiting for the confirmation of a miracle before being elevated to sainthood. The Our Lady of Shiloh Fund also supports the Basilica in Washington, D.C., sending money for the upkeep of this most beautiful shrine, adorned in spectacular mosaics and designed by the artist in Joonilas. For those of you who have not been to the Basilica of the Immaculate Conception, it's absolutely gorgeous, and it has side shrines. And so one of them is the Our Lady of Shiloh, and it is just decorated in every kind of Lithuanian Catholic artwork that you can imagine. It's absolutely spectacular. The rector contacted the Knights of Lithuania about water damage to the shrine, and the organization raised $10,000 to cover the cost of repairs. The Lietuvos Vyčiai, our organization, was invited to the 50th anniversary of the dedication of this shrine in the Basilica. And it is the only organization that continues to support the upkeep of that shrine at the Basilica. So it's a spectacular example of our Catholic faith and culture, and it's really, if you're ever in Washington, D.C., visiting that Basilica, it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Also, through several bequeaths and ongoing donations to the Knights of Lithuania Charities, we've supported many Lithuanian Catholic organizations. Over the years, over the decades, we've sent about $1 million to support the Lithuanian Pontifical College in Rome. Many of our Lithuanian priests have studied there and benefited from our help. And we continue to support the Lithuanian sisters and convents, and most recently made a $25,000 donation to support the upkeep of St. Anthony's Shrine in Kennebunkport, Maine. So those are the Lithuanian Franciscan fathers. And again, it's so beautiful up there, and it's so quiet and restful. And right in Kennebunkport, it's just so fantastic. And also we support other organizations like the Camp Neringa, Lithuanian Children's Camp. And our Knights of Lithuania Scholarship Fund has dispersed over $150,000 in scholarships and continues to support active members. And we also have the Stiklius Tamulevich Scholarship Fund, which has also given out about $100,000 in scholarships. So now the new goal of our charities is to explore where and how to have a permanent exhibit of the Knights of Lithuania in a museum or similar venue for upcoming generations, to learn what these simple peasants, uneducated people who came in the late 1800s managed to accomplish for God and country, both in Lithuania and here in their American homelands. And it should never be forgotten or undervalued, as the mayor has said. The Lithuanian community in America, without their steadfast efforts, these uneducated immigrants from Tsarist-occupied Lithuania 130 years ago, establishing, building, sponsoring Lithuanian churches and parishes, and those who came after World War II and in the 1990s found thriving communities, churches that were 50 years old, and full communities that when they came, they had a way to begin their lives over again. And so that's what I have to tell you about our Knights of Lithuania. We are always encouraging and looking for new members to join. So if you'd like to learn about the Knights of Lithuania, here you go. And if you're interested in supporting any of our charitable organizations or causes, please feel free to contact me. Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to tell you about these wonderful things. I appreciate it.
Stay right here, Marita. So I'm going to give Marita a mayoral proclamation. Whereas the many achievements and contributions of Lithuanian immigrants and the descendants living in Brockton and throughout the United States of America deserve to be celebrated and honored. Whereas in 1918, Lithuania declared independence from the German Empire. And whereas Lithuanians behaved heroically in the face of Nazis' atrocities, whereas Lithuania freed itself from the Soviet Union in 1991, whereas Lithuanian Village and its businesses, traditions, and culture are an important part of Brockton's history and continue to this day, whereas the vibrant culture of Lithuanian people will always be celebrated and honored in our fine city. Now, therefore, I, Robert F. Sullivan, as mayor of the city of Brockton, Massachusetts, hereby proudly proclaim February 16th, in 2025 in the city of Brockton as Lithuanian Independence Day, and I humbly, respectfully ask all residents and business owners in the city to join me in celebrating this special day. And I sign it today, Valentine's Day, the 14th day of February, 2025.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, sure. Oh, proclamation. I'm just trying to hide all my junk. The other paper's behind me. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
So I'm very fortunate to work each and every day with wonderful people, public servants that come to work every day at City Hall to help people, right? Because we're in the people business. And I didn't know this individual before I became mayor. She is a proud Lithuanian descendant. She is one of the best lawyers I've ever met with. So Kayla, we want to recognize you. Come on up for a second. So we have a wonderful team of lawyers here at City of Brockton, our law department, which we really treat like a law firm. And the city solicitor, Megan Bridges, runs a wonderful team. And Kayla is someone that has hit the ground running from day one. Many times I talk to her, and she is really proud of her background and her history and her family's legacy. So we need to recognize, again, those that have achieved wonderful, wonderful professional endeavors. And again, I don't think she would be the person she is or the great lawyer she is without her Lithuanian background. So we just wanted to thank you. Want to say anything? No? Oh, and last year I was given a Lithuanian beer, and it was delicious. So, oh, hey!
This is this year's. So my daughter is a brewer, Break Rock Brewing in right there in Quincy at Marina Bay.
Yes.
And this is being the Lithuanian Farmhouse Ale.
Wow.
Last year you had a different
I
style.
did. This is wonderful. Thank you.
And you're all welcome to the brewery tomorrow at 6 o'clock, the grand, woohoo!
Whoa, well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank
There
you
you
very
go.
much.
Red and Marine, of
And
course.
thank you. I also want to thank Brockton Community Access that always comes for our flag raisings and always takes the time to really show the significance of Brockton and the history of Brockton. So thank you, BCA, for being here. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. We will be back here next year. And again, from my family to yours, have a wonderful Valentine's Day. And again, the 16th in 2 days will be the official Independence Day here in the city of Brockton. God bless you all. Thank you.